Hey everybody, Barry here again. Let's talk about options. This is going to be a quick video, which quick in my terms means it's probably still going to be a half-an-hour video, but I want to go over things that I'm going to need, things that I have, things that I don't have for the Desperado build. So let's take a look. This is a Cadillac frame. It's an 05 Escalade, and here is the front suspension. It has torsion bars, which is like, why does a classy vehicle like a Cadillac have torsion bars? What is this, 1970s Mopar? Like, why? And it has a steering box. Again, why? Why not have struts with coil springs and a rack? This is a luxury vehicle, man, or at least it was in 05. What? This is not a 3/4 ton truck. What's the deal? Can I change over, questions, theoretical, rhetorical, can I change over this front suspension to a strut style, like on a two-wheel drive, and have the steering rack? Are there provisions for it? Are there mounts for it? Is it possible at all? Or do I just give up on the idea? I love the fact that it's an all-wheel drive frame. I love the fact that it has rear coil springs. Oh, I just fell through the ice. Another thing, I'm just going to kind of move back this way and talk as I go. These Escalade doors, I have not verified yet if the Escalade doors will work on the 99 to 06 Chev truck body. I haven't verified that yet, but when I do, I will let you guys know, because these doors are in incredible shape. Obviously they needed a color change. I don't want white and brake dust. That is not a two-tone paint job, that is brake dust. And I like how it still has the Escalade badges on it, because I'd like to keep that, but I want to change it over to Desperado, like I've said in previous videos. As for the chrome door handle thing, that doesn't really do anything for me. I could care less. But looking in here, the doors are in beautiful shape, so I'd love to use those. Chrome inside door handle is kind of cool. It's not too tacky. It's got speakers, which I could care less about. It has power locks and power windows, which I will be changing out, because I like manual things. Manual is lighter. Manual doesn't fail. How many, for the mechanics out there, how many 99 to 06 window regulators have you replaced? I've replaced a lot. As for interior, I hope none of this falls out. This thing is like a storage shed, man. These seats are really nice. They're going in my wife's Cadillac, the 02, the black one. I call it the Cadillac because I'm lame. It has power stuff and all that. So I thought about maybe taking the seats out of hers, which are power heated seats, and they've got like a bajillion-and-a-half way adjustment with lumbar and all that junk, but they're heavy. These are an absolute ton, but they are leather, and I do enjoy that. They have airbags here. Obviously not going to utilize any of that. But then we move over to the OG RCSB truck. I may use this bed, we'll talk about that after. Probably not going to use that chrome. Not into it. I don't hate these door handles, I must say. This seat is not great. I do have a better one, but it is manual. It's manual. Things don't break. GM power seats are not known for reliability, although they are very comfortable. As I've talked about before, I'm calling this the Desperado because it's going to be a Silverado Escalade Desperado. And I've checked out the description of Desperado on Google, and it explains me about 95% and what this truck is going to be. So look it up and tell me how you feel. Obviously Cadillac front grille, headlights, bumper. The Cadillac has a similar style to the Chevy SS bumper. We can see here with fog lights and all that stuff. The hood, all of this stuff is in really nice shape. And the hood is awesome. There's no paint flaking, there's none of that stuff. Sorry if there's wind noise, I'm trying my best. One thing I'm going to be doing that I haven't seen a lot of people do, and I say that as if I've ever actually seen a Cadillac front clipped Chevy driving around, because I haven't in person. I'm going to use all of the factory molding going around to the back, right down the side of the truck. You can see here that I have removed said factory molding, but I'm not removing it from the doors because I want to use the doors if I can. And I have the factory molding here that hopefully will be able to continue along up over here And I also removed the gas door from the Cadillac, so I'll be flattening this one out and moving the gas door back there so that it follows the contour of the Cadillac cladding. And I'll be able to use the Cadillac gas tank, so I'll be able to put my filler neck right up to here. What else we got? As for interior, this one's cooked, but I do have one that's fine. I'd kind of like to have a nice looking dash, but it's not necessary. I'll be removing all of the junk that I don't need, as in safety equipment. I'll be putting a cage in this truck. So this bed is not great, obviously. It had factory fender flares on it, or aftermarket ones, and it's completely rusted out all the way around there. But it only goes up to probably here, so I can put quarters in it. The rear quarters don't look amazing, but they're not terrible. I just noticed that it has a good back bumper. Now, GM being GM, they put a Chev truck bumper on the back of the Cadillac, and then they put fancy plastics over the back of it. So that's amazing. It's absolutely perfect. As far as I know, this bumper will fit. That'd be sweet, because that bumper is in also great shape. Although I'm not convinced that it's a Chevy bumper. I think it's a Ford bumper. Oh, it is a Ford bumper. No wonder it's in good shape. I got bamboozled. Okay, what else we got? So we got this crew cab here. This is Ryan's old truck. Ow. Chevy door handles. Yeah, I'd put a Ford door handle on it if I could. This thing was a work truck, but you can see that the seat is in better shape. I think a very good shampooing and maybe a little bit of vinyl dye to make this black, and it'd be really cool. Again, manual, never fails, relatively light, not as light as some other ones. This being a street slash race slash hoon slash total pain truck, there is potential for some racing to be done here. And Chris Jones did send me a racing seat from Nova Scotia with harnesses. So I might make up brackets for that, where if I go to do hood rat stuff with my friends, I can unbolt the seats, take them out, bolt in the racing seat, and go have fun. Along with my roll cage and all that fun stuff. These doors are also in very nice shape, but I do like how the Cadillac one has cladding and stuff on it. And here we have other lots and lots of parts. So here's a transfer case. I hear Cass. She's doing donuts. There she is. This is why I like all-wheel drive. Cool. And she's bringing me some dinner. We'll be back in a second. And this one has power windows and power locks, and just a regular black door handle, which I think I like the chrome more actually. But I'm gonna see if I have a truck with roll-up windows. I wonder if I do. Let's check the old single cab. No, this one has power windows also. I might be stuck with that. May not like. But I do have two more trucks, a single cab and an extended cab that I bought off Ryan Fudge. I gotta go pick up, so hopefully one of those has regular roll-up windows in it. Another thing over here is the wheels that I'll be using either on the Cadillac or the Desperado, and these are factory 20-inch chrome wheels. I'm trying to get the snow off. But yeah, anyway, it's a nice rim. They're not bad looking. Obviously I need at least one tire. This is all over the place. Anyway, also I need taillights. So I don't like these taillights. Those are GMC taillights. I also don't like these taillights. Those are Chevy taillights. But I do have Cadillac taillights. I've got the original taillights out of that. They're inside the truck right now, and they're much nicer looking. So I think I'll put those in the single cab as well. I'm inside now because it's icy out, and I don't like cold. Another thing I have to figure out is how to lower the rear of the Cadillac. I just keep calling it Cadillac because it's Cadillac frame. The front is easy. I can just undo the bolts out of the front torsion bars, let them fall down as far as they can, and we'll see where it sits. If not, I can buy lowering torsion keys for it. I guess they're just keyed on a different angle, but if I do struts or if I do coilovers or something, that'll be eliminated anyway. I'd love to do coilovers, but they're expensive. You can buy cheap coilovers, but they're junk. So I might have to deal with my twisty bars for now. But as for the rear, it's got coil springs, The pocket on the rear differential sits directly on the diff, so I can't lower that. The pocket up in the frame, I may actually be able to cut out, move up 2 inches and then weld. That might be the easiest way to do it. And somebody suggested that on one of my last videos or a short or something like that. So I might be able to do it that way. My issue is I checked out the curb weights. An 05 Escalade is 5,600 pounds. An 05 regular cab short bed truck is 4,600 pounds. So take 1,000 pounds off the truck, it's probably going to sit a little bit higher. So I'm already going against myself. It might be a half an inch higher or an inch higher because I took 1,000 pounds off by putting this truck on, especially with all the weight being taken off the rear. So I might have to lower it 3 inches to actually lower 2, you know, if you get what I'm saying. I want this thing to be low. I do not want it to be stock ride height and look really funny. So I like a low truck anyway. Look at the rat rod. It's not very high. And I love the way it handles and the way it rides. So that's something that we'll have to deal with too. I know I can buy lowering coil springs. They're like $300. I don't really have $300 to spend on something that isn't absolutely detrimental to the build. It's just something that I want. So I'll figure out how to do it for free or as close to free as possible. Unless there's a company out there who would like to work with me and I can show off your company and you help me with coil springs or coilovers. That'd be awesome too. I am back and I got my sweater on. This is a new one that Cass and I made. It is the Station Road Rat Rod sign along with, you can't see it, hang on. It goes up my arm, down my arm, Station Road Rat Rods. And I made it in the same color as the sign, so it's really cool. So if anybody's interested in a sweater like this in your particular size, let me know and we'll see what kind of price I can come up with and if I can ship it to you. This was kind of a sin. The bed is in great shape. This is a short one. I think it's 5.5 feet. It's on the crew cab trucks and it's squatting pretty bad there, and you can see that the bed is creased back. So I basically have to cut it off, pull that out, and I don't know, put a new quarter in it or something. I had to come inside because my fingertips are basically ice cubes now. I think I have to amputate. Oh, and I figured I'd probably show you this. This is Craig's boat. We've been doing a lot of work on Craig's boat. Bet you didn't know I did boat stuff. So let me know what you think. I don't know if the audio is any good here. I've got it set up on a tripod and all that, but what do we think about the Desperado build? Should I use a 5.3 or a 6 liter? I have 4.8s, but I'm not really interested in them. I don't know why. It's not a whole bigger is better thing. I just don't really care for them. So 5.3 or 6 liter. I'm not going to do de-stroked or anything like that. Nothing crazy. I'll probably put 243 heads on it if I do a 6 liter. It's going to have a sloppy stage 2 cam and pack 1218 springs that Jorge sent me. So I think 243 heads would benefit from that. I have a Trailblazer SS intake or Gen 4 truck intake. I also have an LS1 intake that Frampton gave me, which is a 3-bolt regular throttle body intake. It's just a lot lower. It might look okay in the truck. Apparently it doesn't flow as well as the truck intakes. So if I can get a 92mm 4-bolt throttle body, then I may use the Trailblazer SS intake. So if anybody knows for a line on one of those that are relatively inexpensive, this is not stuff that is necessary for the build, which I'll be focusing on first, of course, because it's no good to have a bunch of go-fast parts if it doesn't have the parts that it needs to move. Those are all potential upgrades. So if anybody has one that you want to like sell me for a really good price or donate to the channel to help with the build, let me know. And 4L60 or 4L80, obviously we know the answer to that question. I'm going to blow up a 4L60 or 7. I have a 4L80 in the caravan, but it's a 2-wheel drive. Now I understand that a 2-wheel drive has a longer output shaft than the 4-wheel drive, so I'm wondering if I can use the 4L60 adapter between the transmission and transfer case. Can I use that on this 2-wheel drive 4L80? And if the output shaft is too long, can I cut off that 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch? I slice it off with a grinder, I don't really care. As long as I get a square, it'll it'll spin, it won't vibrate. It's not a big deal. I don't mind rewiring the transmission harness and repinning the PCM and all that. I have a sloppy trans brake wired into the 4L80 already, and I know it works, I know it shifts. It does amazing. I can foot brake it to like 3,300 RPM on just that solenoid. Foot braking it to that, making like 12, 13 pounds of boost with all-wheel drive should make it an absolute savage off the line. Because of course the Caravan, all it does is spin because it's a Dodge Caravan. With all-wheel drive would be, it'll either break parts or go fast, which I'm fine with either one really. Breaking parts means I fix it and I make more videos and we get to laugh at me because I'm a big dumb idiot. Going fast, I'm like, yeah, I actually look cool. Which is unobtainable for me. Transmission out of the way, we're talking about transfer cases. This is more of an overview now at the end. Can I use a shift type transfer case in place of the all-wheel drive transfer case? Will it bind up if I put it in 4 high and then drive around on the street normally? I have read and I've seen on owner's manuals, I guess, that you shouldn't drive over 80 kilometers an hour in 4-wheel drive. So what makes it different? What makes these two transfer cases different? Where I can drive 180 in my Cadillac with no issues, but I can't drive 80 in a 4-wheel drive. So if somebody could explain that to me, that'd be kind of cool. Front diff, I'll just keep the Cadillac front diff in it as is because I don't think it makes any noise. Everything there is fine. Will I blow it up? Potentially. The main reason I don't like the Cadillac transfer case or the all-wheel drive transfer case is, let's say I get the sloppy trans brake hooked up, I get into boost, let off the button, and it goes front wheels up. When the front wheels lose traction, the transfer case slips. And I know that because I took out the front drive shaft out of the black Cadillac and it wouldn't move very easily. Like I'd get it up to like 3 grand and it would be spinning and slipping and it was an odd feeling because it felt like transmission was slipping. So anybody who knows those all-wheel drive transfer cases will know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe I drive around in 2-wheel drive all the time and then I switch it over to 4-wheel when I want to go all-wheel drive. I don't know if it's the transfer case or the front diff really that decides if it's going to slip or allowed to go around turns or whatever. I don't know, so give me some insight. Another thing is gear ratios. I think this Cadillac has 373 gears, which is fine. With an overdrive, I kind of like 410s, but I don't want to go buying gear sets, ring and pinion for 2 axles if I don't have to, because 373s is great anyway. Even if it's 342s, I'm not upset. But just, you know, closer to 410 you get, the more fun it is. As for the Cadillac front clip, I know there's a lot of people who are not into it. Charles Williams, namely, is #1. Sorry, Charles, not sorry. But I'm going to try to make this as... I'm going to try to make this without any nonsense. I want it to look good. I don't want it to look junky or trashy or trailer parking. So I'm going to use the cladding on the side. I'm going to try to make it look as if it would have been factory. And need a few parts to go along with that. I need a little more cladding because right now the cladding splits between the front door and the back door on the Cadillac, and then it goes up over the wheel well and splits there halfway through in the back door. It's going to be basically seamless except for between the cab and the bed. So instead of it splitting behind the door, I need it to split, like say, back here further, which doesn't make any sense without a drawing or a diagram. So I am going to have to cut and mold or plastic weld some pieces together. So I'll have videos on all that. Another question is interior. Should I use all of the power options from the Cadillac in the Desperado? I don't really care about creature comforts. I don't mind rolling up my own windows. I have arms to do that. You know, the biceps are okay. Power windows is fine, but it's heavier and they break all the time. Like I'm after putting 2 sets in my black Cadillac now, and now when I pull the button to put the window up, it's like, and I always got to pull the window up to help it along, which is quite annoying. And they scroop and they make noises and they leak, and I don't like any of it. So roll up windows. I don't know if these trucks came with only manual locks, but I feel like they do, but I can't remember. If I can get one with manual locks, I'm fine. I'll do that too. I don't care about remote start. I don't care about power locks and nothing. I have the center console out of the Cadillac and 2 bucket seats up front. I can use 60/40 seats if I wanted to, or 40/20/40s and have the fold down console thing. That's fine, but it's really work truck looking. I like the idea of 2 buckets and the console. The only issue with that then is my girls and Cass, or both my girls, can't go for a drive with me. And I love taking Cass and the girls out and just doing stuff, hood rat stuff. And do I put in that bench? Something that I've got to talk to them about and talk to Chloe and Lily about. Dash is another one. I really like the Cadillac dash. I don't know if I have a set of gauges that works out of any of the trucks, because none of the truck gauges ever worked in a Chev truck. I said truck a lot, sorry. Gauges, interior, maybe I go the way of the rat rod and just put random gauges in, but try to get them the same color. I don't know. I like the look of factory when I'm doing this kind of stuff. Another thing is, like, say, the shifter. I don't care for these ratchet shifters and all that. They're fine, they're good for race trucks. I just want to put it in D and go. That's all I want for this one. If I was putting a 4L80 or a Turbo 400 or something in a rat rod, I'd probably want a quarter stick shifter or a ratchet shifter, because I could still shift it, but I'm fine with that not being the case here. I don't need to shift it myself when it's an automatic. As for body parts, I think I have pretty much everything. The front fenders aren't amazing on the Cadillac. The white fenders that I took off in one of the last videos, they're not amazing. They are separated a little bit on the outside, so I might have to do some body work. I'm not a great body man, but it doesn't matter, because it has like 5 or 6 inch tall flares the whole way around the wheel wells, right down the rockers. Everything all has plastic covering it, so I can do a half okay body and paint job in under the fender flares and just bolt those on, or glue them on or whatever, and done. The front bumper is cracked up pretty bad, so I'll have to figure out how to plastic weld them, or do I use epoxy on the back, or what do I do? Do I melt staples in there from a staple gun with a blowtorch? I don't really know these things, so if anybody has suggestions on that, let me know, because I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea. I've never done finishing work before like that. I just weld stuff together and drive it and go fast. I've been talking to Chris in Nova Scotia, and they have a Cadillac, another white Cadillac just like this one, at a scrapyard there, so he said he might be able to get me some stuff there. We'll see how that goes, see what's on that, if it's any good or not. Another thing is the back bumper. I was talking to my buddy Jeff. He suggested going with a roll pan. Really cool idea. I love roll pan of the vehicle. Like, I know, yeah, it's for safety, obviously, but it just looks ugly. So do I try to find a half decent Chev truck bumper? Jarvis Hines from Unimax Tire at St. John's, he messaged me and said he has a good, it's just a primered steel Chev bumper. And he said I can have it, just got to figure out how to get it 4 hours this way. And I could use the Cadillac plastics and stuff on the back, which I think might look good. It might actually complement the back of the truck a little bit, or I could do a roll pan. So give me your thoughts. This is mostly what this is, just brainstorming. As for the height of Desperado, I'd like to get it as low as possible without making it uncomfortable or bottoming out on axles, stuff like that. So I would like to lower it at least, like, say, 3 inches. I'd like to get the wheel, top of the tire, and the wheel well closer together, because I don't like having fender gaps that you can stick your head in. That's really annoying. This is not a work truck. I'm not going to be pulling campers with it. It'd be nice to have it at a nice looking level with a 20-inch wheel and, say, a 275, 65 or something like that, or a 60. It will fill out the wheel wells a little bit better side to side, but on top still gonna have a lot. So I'd like to have it low. Talk about it quickly again. I'll unbolt the torsion bars up front. I'll see if I can move the spring perches up higher in the frame. I still have to cut the center out of the bed anyway, I think, because the Cadillac frame has actual body mounts. There's 6 that I think I would use for the bed. Right behind the driver door, there's 2. And then back by the bumper there's 2, and then back in toward the rear end, closer together, there's also 2. So they're not going to bolt on, obviously, where the bed rails, the cross ribs or whatever, are not just going to bolt on anywhere on the frame. So I might have to cut the center end of the bed anyway, so I could just move my spring perches up then. Not interested in going with a fuel cell, really. I don't really care for it. It's always a pain trying to get a fuel gauge integrated into it. It's always a pain having the fuel pumps and stuff sticking out of the bottom. So if I could keep the factory fuel tank, I'd be more than happy. If I feel like I'm getting sloshing issues, I'll put the pump right to the back of the tank and put a Walbro 450 or the 044 pumps that are on the rat rod. I might put that on it. But I like to keep the fuel system relatively stock, because the stock fuel system in it, the lines, all that stuff, with the filter in it and stuff, it's a decent setup. It's not bad at all. I've never seen, besides rust, I've never seen the fuel lines fail, or the rail, or any of that stuff. And even the pumps, really, not very much, unless they get rusty. But you always hear of the guys buying the cheap PTFE hose on Amazon, and it's chafed through in 6 months, or blown out and bubbled up and catches on fire. I don't want any of that, especially when it costs a big pile of money. I'd rather use a 3/8 steel line front to back, right up to the rail, and connect it with factory style hoses. So there's that. Obviously I'm rambling this whole video. I haven't actually done anything. I have not touched a wrench, but this is the brainstorming I need. When I talk to people, we come up with ideas. And when I do things by myself with no thought process, which I often do, I end up regretting the decisions I made and can't go back, or it's more time. So between talking to Frampton and Rodney and Matt or Cass, we all figure out things quickly that it would take me 3 tries to figure it out on my own. So I'm asking you guys. So what do you think about the lowering thing? How I should go about that? If anybody has a line on lowering springs for one of these Cadillacs, let me know. I'll buy them off you. Or like I said, if you want to help out the build, I'd be really appreciative of that. Or if anybody knows of any sponsor people who would like to do a trade-off thing, we know how sponsors work, and see where that goes. Another thing is the tail lights. We looked at the Chev and GMC tail lights. They're ugly. I don't like them. They're very minimalist. They're very work looking. They're fine. They work. Everything blinks. Everything turns on when it should, but I don't like it. So there's the Cadillac tail lights, and that's going to come up in another video quickly. You'll see very soon. I'm not going to say anything, but you'll know what I'm talking about when we get there. The headlights is another thing. The 05 Escalade lights are HIDs, and I really don't like HIDs. They're annoying. They flicker. They get on everybody's nerves on the road because they're intensely bright, and they fail all the time. They're trash. So can I put a regular, like say H11 or 9005 bulb in that socket and just clip onto it? Does anybody know? Or do I have to throw away the whole 2 headlight assemblies and put new headlights in it? I really wouldn't. I don't want to hook up ballasts and all that for the HIDs. Like, that's an extra pain. I'd like to keep wiring to a minimum in this thing. I'm not going to be doing any probably body control modules if I don't have to. I'll use the factory key if I can, but I don't want to go through VATs and all that. I'm just going to delete VATs. So the less wiring and the less negativity, the better, because these are not known to be electronically or electrically reliable. So that's why I want to keep the power options to a minimum. I'm not going to have AC. I might put heat in it. I might. If I can find, I don't know if these trucks came factory with no AC, but if I can find a dash that doesn't have the punch outs and all the wiring and stuff for no AC, then maybe I'll put a heated dash in it, where I can just do like feet and face or defrost or whatever. I'm not going to have any rear defrost. I don't care about any of that. I'm not going to be driving this thing when it's cold enough to want frost protection anyway. Another thing is the turbo situation. I have a 70mm Mac turbo on the Caravan, but it's not great. I can take the impeller and move it in and out, but I'll say 3/32 of an inch or maybe an eighth, that kind of thing. So it's getting down there. I have the twin turbos on the rat rod. If I build this truck to be my street/race truck, I may make the rat rod a lot more tame. Keep sloppy stage 3 cam in it that Jorge sent me in the D-stroke 6-liter, but take the turbos off and take all the race stuff off and just make it a driver. Because bringing it back to where Cass and I first built it, when we built it for our honeymoon in 2016. So I could use the twins on this truck. The only thing that I've found that I'm not partial to twins about is how much piping there is, and how much exhaust and intake piping and wastegates and blow-off valve and wide pipes. It's a lot, man. It's a lot of stuff. it's literally double the stuff, the oil lines, the return lines, all that, and every part that you put on it is an extra part that can fail. And especially when I don't have 30 grand to put into a build to make it ultra reliable, then there is potential for a lot of parts to fail, because I'm using exhaust pipe and rubber hose joiners with actual worm gear clamps as charge pipes. And if I'm putting 15 pounds through, something's gonna blow off. And that's annoying. I had a rubber drain hose melt off on the highway 4 hours from home in the middle of the night. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I had to get out with a screwdriver and change the hose. So it's just stuff like that I'd rather only have one set. So I did look at a GT45 turbo from Max Speeding Rods. They sponsored me for a GT3582 turbo, and they were really good to me. So I've been communicating with them to see if I can get another turbo and do another sponsor video, which would be really cool. But communication there is kind of back and forth. It's been taking a while, so we'll see. But I'd love to have a big single. It's a 69mm turbo, so I'm sure it'll be just fine on a 6 liter. Another thing is exhaust. I wouldn't mind having a half sensible exhaust on it. I have a fender exit on the rat rod, or right now it's hood exit, and I love it. But I thought about maybe where I have like a factory body with abundance of room in under the floor, the cab, and the frame and stuff. There's like this much room where I can put an exhaust. What's stopping me from doing, if I do a GT45, a single 3-inch pipe back, put a nice straight through bullet muffler on it, like a Magnaflow or something, and then coming right out behind the rear, so it's sort of inconspicuous, still sound really good, and still have lots of power. But I'm not looking for that extra 1 horsepower on the dyno kind of thing. I just want it to be drivable and fun and not make your ears bleed. I'm not getting older. I'm not getting any wiser. I just like to change it up. And as for headers / manifolds, I'm just going to use regular Chev truck manifolds and probably make a Y pipe or something. I would love to have those up and forward Flowtech or Flowmaster headers that have the V-bands and stuff. They're sweet. I actually had a set of them a few years ago when they were cheap, and they wouldn't fit the rat rod, so I sent them back like an idiot. I really should have kept them. So I think I'm just going to use regular old cast iron manifolds. They work just fine for what I'm going to do. And intercooler, I don't really have anything yet. I gotta see if I can buy like a cheap China intercooler. This is all stuff that's going to come over the next year or so. This build is not going to be a fast one, but it's going to come together rather quickly when I start at it, and then might taper off so I can buy a part at a time or something. So my YouTube is like 250 bucks Canadian or something a month is my average, so I'm not making a big pile of money at it. But you know, if I can buy a couple oil lines this month, and then next month I might be able to buy or save up for 2 months and buy a turbo or something like that, it'd be, you know, it helps a lot, and I appreciate everybody's views and comments and likes and stuff. So it helps push this stuff further along, and anybody who helps out with the builds is a massive help. So I think I'm going to shut it down here, and I'll make some more notes and stuff for the next video. If you've kept up this long in the video, I applaud you because I literally did nothing today. But hopefully your guys' comments and stuff is going to give me a lot of clarification. So I'm out. I'm going to go back to work. My lunch break is over. So thanks for checking out the channel. Thanks to all my new YouTube members and subscribers and patrons. If you want to check out my Patreon, it's patreon.com/stationroadratrods. My YouTube members link is down here. And also, if you're interested in hoodies or t-shirts, hats, cups, mugs, tumblers, all that fun stuff, just leave me a comment and we'll see what I can make up. I love making stuff. We make this all on our own, and it's a bit of a process, but I enjoy it, and that'll help support the channel a little bit. So thanks for watching. Have a great day, everybody.